Well, if you know how James Gunn makes movies and how he makes people laugh, you'll realize this is an awesome casting for the new Superman movie. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about who just joined the cast and why bringing this particular character to life will be absolute comedic gold for James Gunn. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about Steve Lombard. Now, before we do that though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos, and we want to be your place for all the superhero news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently, so you are in the know. Well, if you're following this channel, you know we've been closely following the current Superman production. The movie's probably at about the 70% mark, and we recently got our first look at the new Kent farm down in LaGrange, Georgia. Now, we know the farm's going to play a big part of the movie, but so will the Daily Planet. And if you're a fan of Superman mythos and the surrounding support characters, you know the Daily Planet is not complete without one particular character. We're not talking about Jimmy, we're not talking about Lois, and we're not talking about Perry. We're talking about Steve Lombard. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Steve Lombard, he's been around in Superman comics for about 50 years, and he's often depicted as the sports guy at the Daily Planet, and he fits every single stereotype of the jock doofus who is always trying to give Clark Kent a hard time, and often falls victim of comedic outcomes at the hands of Superman. Now, you can see why this character is pretty perfect for James Gunn's style of making movies, and if you're a fan of his humor, it really does connect perfectly. Now, recently, James Gunn dropped a picture, and he asked the question of how many Superman cast members can you spot? Now, he's dropped many of these pictures before, and as you can see here, everybody looks to be having a good time. But if you look off to the far right, well, that is Saturday Night Live's own Beck Bennett, standing with cast and crew and looking a lot like Steve Lombard. They've already added the mustache, and he kind of fits the character near perfectly. And given that this is pretty much a cast picture, I feel pretty sure he's part of the movie and will indeed be playing the character. Now, James Gunn hasn't confirmed this yet, but I feel pretty sure with the current conversation, he's probably going to chime in on it pretty soon. Including Lombard absolutely means some of those comedic elements James Gunn is so well known for, well, they're definitely going to be part of this movie. Now, as for Bennett, he was actually a Saturday Night Live cast member from 2013 to 2021. That's a pretty impressive run. He's also been in a lot of other movies like Zoolander 2, The Angry Birds, and Bill and Ted Face the Music. And I could totally see him bringing Lombard to life and ultimately being the fall guy of his own arrogance. This is a great addition to the Superman movie. Although he hasn't been around for Superman's entire history, the last 50 years he's always kind of been a thorn in Clark's side, and will give his focus on an interesting side of Superman, because Lombard is definitely the kind of big bully sort of doofus kind of guy who you kind of want to see Clark sort of slug because he deserves it, but then watching Clark outwit him is almost always better, and this will make for some great moments in the movie. Obviously, once we get confirmation from James Gunn, we're going to talk about this a bit more, but I love the fact they're adding Steve Lombard to the project, and I can't wait to see what Bennett does with the character.